Hey everybody, so in this video we are going to be going over our armature with Model Magic. As you can see here, I am going over my armature with the Model Magic, which you can find on the back supply table. It's important that when we're using Model Magic not to take too much. Model Magic builds up very quickly and is easy to move around. A little bit about Model Magic for those who may not know is that Model Magic is an air dry clay. Model Magic does not leave any residue on your hands, which is extremely helpful, but it also only has to dry with air compared to using a kiln. When creating your sculpture, it's going to be important that in between class periods, you keep your sculpture in a plastic bag. In this plastic bag, you want to make sure that there's almost no air. That way, the clay doesn't start to dry out. However, when you're done sculpting your creature entirely, that's when we'll leave our sculptures out to dry. This way, the clay will harden and it won't be movable anymore. So as you can see here, I'm using a few different techniques to fold and sculpt my creature. Foremost, I'm using my hands and my fingers to mush, spread around, and sculpt the clay in the way I want it to move. But also, you'll notice I'm using a popsicle stick to help me along the way. The popsicle stick is helping me make folds, skin flaps, things like that I want detailed on my sculpture. You can use any form of sculpting that you want. You can sculpt with your hands, you can sculpt with a popsicle stick. I'll also have other tools that are used for clay sculpting on the back table as well. Tools that are more traditionally used for clay that goes in the kiln. As you're sculpting your creature, you'll take pieces of Model Magic and add to it. As you can see here, I'm adding bottoms of feet, the tips of the tail, and other details to my Squonk. Adding these details in the sculpture at this phase is very important. This is where we get to highlight certain things that we didn't get to with the tinfoil sculpture, like eyes, texture, 3D aspects that weren't necessarily seen with just the foil. Another thing to point out is that you can always add onto Model Magic. Model Magic is self-adhesive, which means that it sticks to itself. So if you have details like fangs or fins or scales or even eyes and claws, these can easily be attached just by sticking Model Magic to itself. This is a very fun part of the process. So when we're working with our Model Magic, we're really starting to bring our creatures to life. They start to have a personality, we can kind of see what they look like, and we can form them to look a little bit different. For example, if you're making your creature and you realize it's looking a little bit too nice or cuddly, you can easily go in, sharpen up some angles, make it look a little bit angry, and add details to make it the way you want it to be perceived. As I wrap up this video, some things I want you guys to keep in mind. Make sure that any extra Model Magic goes back in the container. Your creature is able to stand on all fours, twos, etc. And last but not least, have fun making your creature.